been a minute. Yeah. I mean, for those of you watching at home, maybe it doesn't seem like it's been a minute, but I think Jamie's been halfway around the world and back since we last spoke. So
I feel like it.
All good.
Yeah, went down to Cabo, had a good time with some good friends, and
Yeah.
had a good week down there. So, and then we came back and it was winter. Still.
Yeah, it's winter. I think it's going to be winter for a minute, but that's okay. So, I mean, it's February. It's what we should expect.
We should.
So, but, I'm looking forward to the warmer weather for sure. But, and I'm still in the midst of a dry February. So, I'm not going to be drinking too much on today's video. Well, or rather, I'm not going to be drinking at all. And I think Jamie's got some critical things coming up that we're just going to talk about some things today.
Yeah.
So I guess I can go first.
Yeah.
We'll do. What we'll do today. Well, welcome to Mojo Whiskey Bar. But what I got in my box of stuff here, I think I got 7 whiskeys, and I think when I started out building or getting into like bourbon and whiskeys, I would have 2 or 3 bottles maybe at a given time, and then I, for some reason, decided I was going to be a collector or or a bigger connoisseur, and I think I built my collection the wrong way. I started going out to some of the, I will say, maybe more exotic or harder to find things, and which is all fine and good. But I think there's a better way to build sort of a bourbon or a whiskey collection if that's what you're into.
I think so.
And I think there's a lot of things you can get at a few different price points. So let's see what we have here. First one I think should be in a bourbon collection is Buffalo Trace.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you feel about Buffalo Trace?
It's a staple.
It is a staple.
It's a staple. To me, it's a good entry bourbon. It has a sweetness to it.
Yeah.
If you're chasing the blends and all that stuff.
Yeah. Just go here.
Go here.
Yeah.
Go here. I mean, it's awful good.
And the thing about Buffalo Trace is a couple of years ago, just this standard Buffalo Trace was kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy to find right now, and this is definitely one that's probably in a budget category.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is a full liter if I remember. But either way, for a 750 ml bottle, you're going to pay mid 20s to low 30s. There's some fluctuation, but definitely something that should be in your stash. It's popular. People are going to know about it. As James said, it drinks, it's a little sweet, but it's real smooth. Mm. It's at the 90 proof point. So if you're just getting into bourbon, that 90 proof point is probably a good one to start with.
Oh yeah, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I always try to keep a bottle at the house.
Yeah, it's a good one to have.
Seems like every holiday you go to, somebody has Buffalo Trace there for you.
Absolutely.
So it's
can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong with that.
All right, we'll slide that one down and let's see what we grab next. So the next one, I haven't had this yet.
Oh man.
But I heard good things about it from you. But I will just say, generally speaking, it's probably good to have something from Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
Now, the standard Maker's Mark, which this is not, I think it's also 90 proof, maybe. I'm not sure, but anyway, it's also I would say in a budget category, right?
It is.
And the thing that's nice about the Maker's Mark is it's what is called a wheater.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what that means is wheat is the second most predominant grain in the mash bill. Yeah. Now you love this
I love
one,
it.
right? So I haven't had it yet, so I'm looking forward to March to crack this one open. But get a Maker's Mark because there's all kinds of things that are out there.
Agree. I mean, it's and this one is just enough different than Maker's Mark that it's hard to put down. Once you start, it is really hard to put down. This one has such a unique taste to it, in my opinion, that it's those French oak staves, they really...
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. I mean, and like the standard Maker's Mark, for me, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just like a good staple, and it's iconic bottle. I think I don't know if they were the first one to use the wax, but they're definitely the most iconic with the wax seal and everything. And I think I heard once that the number one selling bourbon in the world is Maker's Mark.
I think that's right.
So they have a lot of things. Like this is And this one wasn't crazy. I think this is mid-30s, if I remember, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah.
And this is cash strength.
This is cash strength, yeah.
So this one's going to be maybe a little
higher
step up than that standard Maker's Mark. But they have special finishes that they roll out from time to time. I've had a few. I used to kind of poo-poo the Maker's Mark, but I'm kind of getting back into it a little bit. So I would add Maker's Mark too.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to beat this one. I mean, it's if your collection starts with Buffalo Trace, something from Buffalo Trace, and something from Maker's Mark, you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, and I don't know.
You're not going to go bankrupt doing it.
No, not at all. These are going to be good staples to keep. So I think we'll just keep moving them side to side. The next one that I think is a must is Elijah Craig, and this is their small batch. Again, this is a Heaven Hill product. Heaven Hill makes a ton of whiskeys. In fact, if you saw some of our budget videos that we did recently, there were quite a few from Heaven Hill.
Quite a few. Yeah, they do a really good job.
Even some of the ones that we rated the best.
Yeah, they do a really good job in that price point.
And so this, again, is going to cost $30-ish, give or take. I think the proof, 94 proof. I think it's a solid one. I mean, now you can get crazy with some Elijah Craig stuff. Sometimes the toasted finishes or the single barrels and those sorts of things, they're good. I don't know that they always command the price point, but the standard Elijah Craig small batch, I think, is a staple.
Yeah, and you, like to your point, you can find this about anywhere.
Yeah,
you could probably walk into CVS and find this.
In fact, I think all the things I'm going to share with you today, I might have an exception or two. They're pretty readily available. Yeah. Not everywhere, but this one, you can find everywhere. Buffalo Trace, most places. Even this Maker's 46, you see most places.
Yeah, you do. You see it most places.
So
that is true.
All right. Any other thoughts on Elijah Craig?
No, that's a good one, though. That's a solid pour.
Let's see here. All right. So the next one, I really kind of fell in love with this one last year, and I think this is the only rye in the mix. This is the Green River Rye. I like the Green River Rye a whole bunch. I mean, if you're a bourbon person and you've been thinking about ryes, but you're not sure where to start, I would recommend this Green River Rye. It's a good price point. Again, I think we're talking 30s, low to mid 30s. It's pretty easy to find, and it's just a nice drink.
Yeah, Green River, I haven't had anything from them that I've been disappointed in. I mean, they're hitting out of the park right now. This rye is outstanding.
And even if you don't get the rye, I mean, they have a wheat bourbon, a wheated bourbon. They have their standard bourbon. They have a cash strength. They have 4 or 5 offerings. Yeah. And they're all pretty reasonable as far as price. Now, I think if you get into like the single barrel and the cash strength, which is harder to find anyway, you're going to pay a little bit more. But solid drink, right?
Very solid. I mean, this is hard to beat for a rye. This is nonstop.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep this one on hand. And notice these are all unopened, so clearly I didn't have them all on hand, so we're rectifying that a little bit. All right, let's get into Old Forester. Now, you may look at that bottle, because you know me, and it doesn't say 1920.
Correct.
And I wanted to get the 1920. But I have just locally, nobody has it.
No, they don't. I haven't seen it for a while. And in all honesty, this bottle here, when we went down to Old Forester and we did their tour and you did their tastings and stuff.
You did the one on the Whiskey Row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was my favorite.
And the reason I picked this one over like the 1910 or I don't even remember the other offerings is this one's bottled and bond. So what that means is, I'm going to oversimplify it. It's 100 proof. Yeah. And it's at least 4 years old. But this is a solid drink. So I really, I think you have to have something from Old Forester if you're building. Yep. And you'll notice this. We got a trend. We got a Buffalo Trace, a Heaven Hill, a Maker's Mark, Green River, an Old Forester. So, trying to build out your collection or your stash by having a few different distilleries on hand. And I think you got to have something from Old Forester. Now, Old Forester, they have the 86 proof. It's okay. Yeah. It's a good mixer.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. They have their 100 proof. Yeah. And then they have the 1897, the 1910, the 1920, and there's another one. I can't forget, maybe 1870 or some other year. I cannot remember. and they have a few rides and things like that. But
Yeah.
pick up a bottle of and this is, I think this one's around
That's
40-ish
right.
bucks. The 1920, if you can find it, and
A little more.
maybe y'all know. I mean, is there a shortage of 1920? What's going on? But
Yeah, that's a good question.
but if you find the 1920, it's usually mid 50s, low 60s, give or take.
Yeah.
So get an Old Forester. All right, so I got two more. This one will make you happy.
Oh yeah.
Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Wild Turkey makes a ton of stuff too.
Ton of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, your go-to is the 101,
Yeah, my go-to's 101.
which is a great bottle,
Yeah.
and I like that. And I think the Rare Breed steps it up quite a bit.
It does. No, without question.
Now it's a little bit more expensive than a 101, but it's not crazy. I think we're talking 50-ish, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a wonderful drink. And again, this is pretty easy to find. You can get it about anywhere. And I think it's like classic Wild Turkey with
just at barrel proof.
At barrel proof.
Yeah.
So good drink. And the rye is good too. So, again, if you're trying to build your collection, you can go with just about all of these. You can find its rye equivalent if you were so inclined. But this Rare Breed, when I first had this, that's a special bottle.
It is pretty good. I always keep a bottle.
And I thought it was rare because of the name, but fortunately, you can find it.
You can find it, yeah. And to your point, the rye of this is outstanding.
Yeah.
Now it's a little more pricey, but the rye of the Rare Breed is really, really good.
It really is good. All right, and my last bottle, and this one's going to look a little off a little bit, and I'll explain it. But this is a Knob Creek, and this is their bourbon. Now, the Knob Creek, you should have a Knob Creek, I think, in your collection. Now, standard Knob Creek is the Knob Creek 9-year, and it's going to be about 30-ish, give or take. They have a 12, they have a 15, they have an 18. I don't think you should waste your money. The 15 and the 18, they're fine, but for what they cost, I don't know that they're
It's hard to justify it.
The 9 is a winner all day. The 12, I mean, it's pretty
good, but that's about where I would stop.
Yeah. Now, the reason I pulled this one out, the thing I like about, and they have rye too, but the reason I pulled this one out, what I like about Knob Creek is that a lot of liquor stores, like the mom and pop places, they have their own store pick from Knob Creek. And this happens to be one of those. This actually came from, I think this is the liquor store in Mooresville. What is it? Red Barrel.
Yeah, Red Barrel.
So this one's going to come in at elevated proof. Usually the store picks, they're like 120 proof. But a lot of the mom and pop places, they'll have a Knob Creek store pick. And sometimes they'll even let you try it. A lot of liquor stores may have samples for you that, if you're curious about a bottle. But if you can find a Knob Creek 9 or 12, go for those all day, every day. But I like the store picks. And I was looking through my stash. I think I have more Knob Creek bottles here than any other single kind. And then a lot of times it's because I pick up those store picks.
Yeah, I was going to say I have more store picks than Knob Creek. I think I've got one from Who's Your Buddy in Nashville and Paragon Liquor Store. Yeah. So I got them from all over as well. I mean, I've not had a bad one.
No,
it's
they're
really
good.
Unbelievable. So.
And I think, I don't, the Jim Beam folks, the folks that make Knob Creek, I think they have done a good job of opening up their barrels to the liquor stores to be able to do these store picks because, some store picks, well, some are better than others, but I've not had a bad Knob Creek store pick.
Correct. And when you get a store pick, you're buying someone else's palate, so to speak.
You are.
And so, but we've either been really lucky or Knob Creek puts out such a great product that there's just no losers in it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't know, but so far so good. So this is what I think makes a great start to a wonderful bourbon collection. And you got something, from these are all big boy distilleries, of course. So bear that in mind. But I think, building your foundation on those, these are people that have been doing it for hundreds of years. So probably a pretty good place to start. Now, as you get used to these bottles, you'll start to figure out just do these alone, the flavor profiles, the palates, the noses, the taste, there's huge variation across all these.
Oh, absolutely. You're gonna drink rare breed, no, I have a wild turkey product the same as you're going to drink
Yeah.
the Buffalo Trace and know, okay, I know what family this is in.
That's right.
So it's and I'm glad to see the Elijah Clary make an appearance. That is outstanding stuff.
I just like it. It's just good. And but anyway, as you start to build that experience, I'm like, okay, I like this and this. Then you can start to do deeper dives. Like, oh, maybe this rare breed, I want to dive deeper into the wild turkey family. But these are all great places to start with each of these distilleries. So, any other thoughts on this before we call this one around?
I think this is a great start. If you were gonna, and you're not gonna go broke putting these in your collection, which is what you're looking for. If you've seen some of our past videos, there's no reason to go out and spend $200 on a bottle of bourbon when there is a $25, $30 bottle that's
right
in the ballpark.
That's right, and I think kind of to illustrate that a little bit further. I mean, for example, this wild turkey rare breed, it's 50-ish, whatever it is. The Wild Turkey 101 is 20 something, right?
Yeah.
So if you're like, I don't know if I'm ready to dive into Wild Turkey, well, get that 101 first, and figure out if that's something you like. And if you find that you do like the Wild Turkey 101, then again, this might be a nice step up.
Absolutely.
From that. So.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Good
well,
start.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all.
Thank you.